much do you really know about our U.S. presidents? In today's episode of Fact Bites, we've got some tidbits you probably didn't learn in school. And leave us a comment below with how many you didn't know. Put your thinking caps on, because here we go. Hey, if you're here today, you probably like learning weird trivia and cool facts, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you're up to date every time we release a new video. Alright, let's get to it. Everyone knows George Washington was the first U.S. president, but did you know he was the only president elected by unanimous vote? I guess winning the Revolutionary War and starting a nation is good for politics. Washington was only one of two presidents to sign the Constitution. The other? James Madison. And speaking of Madison, he was also our smallest president. He was only 5'4" tall and weighed less than 100 pounds. Roughly the size and shape of your average teenage girl. Thomas Jefferson was the first legit snob in the White House. He was an architect. He even designed his home, Monticello, which you can still visit today. He was America's first great wine connoisseur. It's estimated he spent about $150,000 on wine in his first term as president. He even tried to grow wine in his home at Monticello. Unfortunately, he wasn't great at it and never perfected the craft. And he brought French cuisine to America. Jefferson also loved literature. After the British burned the Capitol in 1814, destroying the Library of Congress, he offered his collection to the library. Congress authorized the purchase of Jefferson's books for $23,950. He sent them 6,487 volumes, more than doubling the library's collection from before the fire. In addition to having an excellent name for politics, Martin Van Buren was the first president to be born as a citizen of the United States. Van Buren was born in 1782 after the colonies declared their independence from England, meaning that all the presidents before him were born as British subjects. Van Buren has also been falsely credited with creating the word okay. While he popularized it during his presidential campaign, historians say okay was actually first used by the Boston Morning Post in 1839. Okay was originally short for all correct, and was published as okay in a satirical article about grammar. John Quincy Adams liked to go skinny dipping in the Potomac River for exercise and bathing. I'd like to believe the river was cleaner then, but considering contemporary methods of waste disposal, it's a miracle he didn't die of typhus. Known for a fiery temper, some historians estimate Andrew Jackson challenged over 100 people to duels and even killed a man. Just about 20 years before Jackson ran for president, he challenged lawyer and famous duelist Charles Dickinson to a duel. Dickinson had already dueled and killed 26 people, and the odds were in his favor. He shot Jackson in the chest, but Jackson stayed on his feet long enough to shoot Dickinson in the chest, a wound that ultimately proved fatal. When asked how he'd managed to stay on his feet after being shot, Jackson replied, "I would have stood up long enough to kill him if he had put a bullet in my brain." A testament to what you can achieve when you're fueled by enough spite. Dickinson shot first. John Tyler loved music and had considered becoming a concert violinist before deciding to follow his father's advice and study law. Now, kids everywhere can blame President Tyler when their parents refuse to pay for a music degree. Abraham Lincoln was the first president to receive a U.S. patent. He patented his floating dry dock on May 22, 1849, patent number 6469. The device was intended to lift boats over shoals and waterway obstructions. Ulysses S. Grant was a Civil War hero and a bit of a speed demon on a horse. There are many stories of Grant challenging other riders to a race. He was once pulled over by a D.C. police officer for speeding down M Street. As the story goes, when the officer realized who he was ticketing, he tried to take it back, but Grant gladly paid the $5 fine. Paying for his actions didn't seem to slow him down, though, and Grant continued to be a terrible driver, reportedly running over a young boy's foot. He wrote a letter of apology and hopefully also paid for that kid to go to college. Grover Cleveland was the only president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. His first term was 1885 to 1889, and his second was 1893 to 1897. After Cleveland lost the election of 1888, it said that his wife Frances told one of the White House staff to take care of the furniture while they were gone, since they'd be back in 4 years. And she was right. Cleveland was also the first and only president to get married in the White House. Rutherford B. Hayes was the first president to have a telephone installed in the White House in 1877. The phone number assigned to the president was 1. Just 1. No other numbers. Of course, phones were still in their infancy, so there weren't many other people for him to call. When electricity was run to the White House in 1891, Benjamin Harrison and his wife refused to touch the light switches for fear they would be electrocuted. The S in Harry S. Truman's name is not short for anything. He was given the middle initial, but not a middle name. Got a nice ring to it, though. 3 presidents have died on the 4th of July: John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Monroe. Calvin Coolidge is the only president to have been born on the 4th of July. John F. Kennedy was the first Boy Scout to become president. In fact, he donated part of his presidential salary to the Boy Scouts of America. Pretty much every president after Kennedy can claim to be a Boy Scout, but the only president to achieve Eagle Scout status was President Ford. The first presidential salary was $25,000 a year. In the 1800s, the average laborer was making less than $20 per week, which is less than $1,000 a year. The presidential salary increased in 1873 to $50,000 during Ulysses S. Grant's administration. By comparison, a private in the Union Army was originally paid $13 per month during the Civil War. The president's salary jumped again to $75,000 in 1909 and then $100,000 in 1949. That was doubled to $200,000 in 1969 and then again to $400,000 in 2001. And that's where it is today. This is actually the lowest that the presidential salary has ever been, adjusted for inflation. That $25,000 a year comes out to over $510,000 in 2020 dollars. And finally, a couple of quick parting facts from our most recent presidents. Bill Clinton is a 2-time Grammy winner. George W. Bush was the head cheerleader at his high school. And Barack Obama collects comic books, specifically Spider-Man and Conan the Barbarian. Officially, Fact Bites has no opinion on this matter, but unofficially, thank goodness he's a Marvel fan. So thanks for watching this episode of Fact Bites. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and give us a like below. That way you can stay up to date every time we've got new facts for you to chew on. So what did you think of these presidential facts? Any we missed? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching!